Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to GrooveAsia Leaders Unite. This is Chester Villanueva, GrooveAsia mentor from the Philippines. Joining us today, we also have Nicholas McIntosh, GrooveAsia mentor all the way from Australia. Hello, Nicholas.
Good evening, Chester. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Wherever you're checking in, another wonderful day here at Groove Asia. We've had a very interesting day, and Chester, I believe we have a special guest on the show tonight, which I'm really excited about. So
Yeah,
let's get
yeah.
on with the show.
Of course, tonight is a very special night because we are going to introduce our newest mentor who will help our community grow faster. He has been seen as a very active leader in our community. Together with other leaders, he plays a big role in establishing and growing the Groove Asia Mandarin community. He is also very proficient in developing companies and organizations. So without further ado, let us all welcome our new Groove Asia mentor, Mr. Dylan Xiao.
Yay! Where is he? He's hiding? There he
Okay.
is!
Oh
Oh,
well.
he disappeared. He's come and he's gone. The mysterious
Now you see, now
Dylan.
you don't.
Hello, Dylan.
Hi, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm so honored to be one of the latest mentor to help out the Group Asia community here. So, like what Chester said, I'm Dylan, and I help the organization to break through their challenges. So here today, I wish to share with you a simple lesson. What are the 10 habits that any successful organization should have? So let's jump right into it, shall we?
Sounds good,
Yeah,
Dylan. Let's go.
yeah.
Okay, so can everybody see my slide? If you can, give me a one in the chat box.
That's
Okay,
all.
good. All
Yep.
right. So before we start talking about the habits, okay, so the simple formula of success that I'm showing you on the screen right here is that we all must have a vision. Okay, only we have a vision, then only we know where we are heading. But next, we also need a set of habits. A set of habits will help us to implement and execute better so that we can progressively inching to our vision. Okay, so these 10 habits is not something that I created by myself. It's actually originated from the Rockefeller's 10 habits. It is the book authored by Vern Harnish. If you're interested, you can go and check it out. So this is the 10 habits I always share with my clients in the SME, in the corporate clients, or even for startups. So um, let's look at the habit number one. Okay, we all have executive team in any sort of organization. Doesn't matter you're big or small, there is always an executive team. So we have to make sure that our executive team, they're healthy and always aligned with each other. What I meant by that is that because all the directors in the executive team, we are all different people. We all have different styles of working things. Sometimes we even have our own priorities, but we have to ensure that whatever is decided within the executive team, everything gotta be healthy and aligned. What I mean healthy is also very important because we don't attack each other. We respect each other boundary, and we also encourage constructive debates. We want to improve things. We don't personal attack, but instead we do a constructive debates among each other and come to a consensus and move forward. Imagine that you are in a town hall meeting in front of your whole company of 1,000 people, for example. Have you heard about this kind of story? The top management is fighting in the public in front of the whole company. They cannot come to consensus. They are unhappy. They are fighting, scolding each other. And any of you have seen that or heard that or experienced that firsthand by yourself? Can you share in the chat with me? If yes, give me a 1. Okay, so I will keep checking on the chat if somebody telling me that you also had the same experience like myself. So we don't want that to happen, because that will look very bad. What we want to do is a very harmonious environment for everybody to grow. Okay, so habit number 1, we have to ensure the executive team is healthy at first and aligned. So thank you, Josh. Thank you, Shinil. Okay, I see your feedback. Next, habit number 2, the number 1 thing. Because in any organization or even yourself, we all have tons and tons and tons of priorities we want to achieve. But which one should go first? Have you also experienced it, the difficulty to choose your priorities to go forward for today, for this week, for this month, or even this year? What's the number 1 thing? Okay, so we have to decide as an organization, what is the number 1 thing that we all should be focusing on? For example, a rocket company, they want to go to the moon in 1 to 2 years' time. But they also have another set of priorities that you want to go deep into the Mother Earth, into the center core of the Mother Earth. Then whatever priority they are trying to set will be one part will be going up to the moon. The second part will be going deep into our core of our Mother Earth. Wouldn't that be a little bit confusing? Which will be the priority to focus the resources on? Would you agree? If you agree, give me a yes in the chat box. Okay, so we don't want that kind of thing to jeopardize our focus and our priorities to drive forwards towards our goal. So if we have decided from the executive team that we are going to the moon, so whatever resources and priority, we have to make sure is contributed and dedicated to that direction alone. So your priorities need to be confirmed, and everybody else contributing the number 1 towards the same direction, the same priority. That is habit number 2 that we should be focusing on. Let's look at habit number 3, rhythm. This is something that I talk about a lot, in many groups, in many community groups that I've been involving, in my current teams, in my past teams, past employment. The rhythm is me as the leader of a company, leader of a group, leader of a community, I always emphasize on. Why rhythm is so important? The rhythm over here is the communication rhythm that we are trying to establish, and the information move through the organization gotta be accurate and move quickly. The faster that we have the rhythm, the fastest we can move forward. So in another terms, the rhythm is exactly like your pulse for your heart. If you want to go faster, then you pulse faster. Okay, for the big team, you can have a weekly meeting that you have a regularly meet up with each other to align things. But for a small operation teams, you can even have a 15 minutes per day before you start working to make sure that we are aware what is going to happen today and what was happening, the last shift itself. So the 15 minutes to align things to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we expect something to happen. Expect, what are the possible challenges that we are going to face today. So if we don't have this kind of thing, this kind of rhythm, this kind of meeting setup, then it's very easy for us to encounter, we have a surprises, happening today. We have surprises, the weather is not doing good. But in fact, if we had, the rhythmic meeting before we start work, for example, we know that today we will have a bad weather, the hurricane is coming in, that we have to take certain precaution to make sure it will not affect our operation, right? So the rhythm. So if you are running an organization or running any community events, make sure you have the right rhythm for your team or your groups. Next, number 4, accountability. Have you all heard about the poem, a poem about responsibility? Let's look at this one. If you can see my screen, I will not read everything, okay? But let's look at the last part over here. So if we all know that somebody should have done the job, right? And everybody should have, but in the end, nobody did what anybody could have. So which means that we always expect somebody to be accountable, responsible for somebody. And a lot of leaders always say, everybody is responsible, everybody is accountable, but it will not be that effective. Okay, accountability need to be set with only one person. If that person is accountable for things to move forward, to things to happen, then he is accountable to make sure it happens. If he has any difficulties or challenges, he has to find somebody who can help him to move the needle. So accountability gotta be have priority as well. The one person who do it, you can always have secondary, but there's one person who is responsible for anything. Okay, so make sure that with every single roles, every single task, any single project, that you have only one highest accountable person. Don't have too many. You'll confuse you'll confuse your team. You even confuse everybody around it. So accountability is very important. Habit number 5 will be employee input. We have to ensure that there's ongoing employee input to be collected, and we can immediately identify what are the obstacles and opportunities available, in the organization. So again, if you have ever worked in a corporate environment before, and you might know this kind of norm that we have an annual performance review, right? So a lot of companies only do the performance review once in a year. Okay, so what is going to happen if you have performance review only once in a year? When you do the performance review, things has been happening for a long time. People are unhappy. Things are not falling in place. We have a lot of challenges. But after a year, then only realize that within the organization, we have so many possible challenges and problems that we need to be fixed. And by having that awareness doesn't solve the problem immediately, right? So it also takes time to investigate and to come up an optimum solution to rectify the challenges. So by the time you have an annual review and wait some more time to find the solution, it'll be way too late. The tiny challenges or tiny issue within the company has been snowballing into the huge issue. Maybe it was just about one person or one team, but it could potentially, after a year or two like that, get snowballing into a divisional big challenges. Do you want that to happen? If you want that to happen, give me a yes. If you don't want that to happen, give me a no in the chat box. Okay. So by having a review too long, this is something very unhealthy. What we need is a very consistent, continuous, the fastest feedback loop that we can ever get. So if possible, they do a daily retrospective, daily feedback collection. What have you done today? What have you done well? What need to be changed tomorrow? We give immediate feedback so that it's effective and it can be changed immediately. Or if it cannot be changed, at least the point is taken and the decision can be made by the middle manager or the top management, right? So if you want to collect feedbacks from the employee, make sure you do it on a consistent basis as soon as possible. Don't wait until the annual review to do the performance review. Else, everything will be too late. Not even the quarterly. If possible, do it as soon as possible. That's my suggestion. Let's move on to another one. We also need the customer's feedback, right? So it doesn't matter what sort of value that you're trying to offer to your customers, okay? If the customer don't feel like they like it or they want to buy it, your product or services doesn't make sense anymore. It's not relevant in the market anymore because your customer, they are not looking forward towards it. They don't like it. They don't want to buy it. So if your customer don't want to buy anything from you, so which means you have no cash flow, you have no sales, you have no potential investment, nothing, nada, right? So same thing like the previous habit, you have to collect the customer's feedback as soon as possible. If possible, every single transaction, every sales that you get, there's a system SOP in place to know that whether this customer is happy or not. That's the best case. If not, then we have to constantly do some sample sizing, sample testing to make sure that our customer, they're happy with our product and services. So if anything that they are unhappy, they can know in time and to make some rectification. Okay, so to give a example, a telco company, a call center. So if the call center, they are receiving calls about certain complaints and they are already gotten a pattern, this new package is not so welcome or so popular in the market. So this kind of information, the pattern data that they have identified, can be immediately escalated to the right department for them to do some changes. Tell me that from our core department, we have been receiving several complaints about this package A. It seems like our customers don't like it very well, and there are a lot of issues going on with the configuration. Maybe the right team should reconfigure the product, or they should kill it, or they should refine it. It's up to them. But at least this kind of customers feedback, the company, the organization can do something about it. If you don't collect feedback from a customer, your customer will quietly just leave you and sign up with another telco company. That's it. The customer do not have the responsibility to tell you whether you're good or not, but it's your accountability to make sure that they like your product. So constantly check with them. Okay. Next, let's look at habit number 7. The core values and the purposes. Core values and purposes are alive in your organization. Okay. So what I mean by that is, if your company moonshot, the purpose of the company is aligned with the individual one, sometimes when your salary payout is slightly lower than the market rate, people are still willing to work for you because the purposes are aligned to each other. Okay. And sometimes when you can also encounter a couple of several company out there, I don't have any names, okay, but you come across this kind of scenario. People are paying very high salary to the employee, but yet the employee still leave the company. Why? Because after the several years, several decades, they have been doing everything that they could, but they don't feel the sense of achievement. They don't fulfill their personal purpose. The purpose is not aligned. The personal purpose is not aligned with the organization. So for instance, this University A, the purpose is to democratize quality education for everybody. Okay. And so happen, this person, say Ivy also has the same personal purposes, that she wants to democratize quality education for everybody. So when these two purposes align together, don't you think they're going to work well and go a long way together? Doesn't matter, the pay or some other things, but at least the purpose is aligned. Then only we come to the core values. If the core values that what we are believing in are good, aligning to our core value, we will work well together. If not, it's always that organization and employee has the conflicts. They don't work well together. They always got friction, because one of the main reasons is that the purposes and the core value, they don't align. I joined a company, but I don't believe their core mission. I don't believe the core values that this company have. So I only spend a couple of years, getting my paycheck day in, day out. After some time, I got a better job, I will hop over to the new job. That it happens always in the market. So in the organization, we have to make sure all our employees, they know what is the main purpose that we are having, the main direction, and the core values that we are believing. And only with that, you have a new talent joining you. You make sure you get the right talent, or else it happens a lot. You will get the wrong talent. Okay. So next one, chapter number habit number 8. Let's look at articulate. What does it mean by articulate? I give you two scenarios. Scenario one, you go inside a company, okay, and you talk to somebody. I wish to know some information about your company and also this product and services. I'm sorry, Mister, I am not too sure about this information. Can I refer you to the right department? Can I refer you to the right person? You sounds familiar. Sounds very familiar, right? It happens to many companies out there. Okay, that was scenario one. Scenario B is that you go to this company, who you met is just a receptionist, or could be just a janitor. Okay, but when you ask a question, he or she, they are able to answer you the question. They are very sure what is the organization mission, values, and what are the brand value the company that they are working in is providing for you as a customer. Won't you think that's amazing? That everybody in a company, they know the company purpose, they know the core values, they know the brand values that they are offering to their customer. This is an articulate terms that I'm referring to. If every single one of the members in your organization, they are able to articulate your company vision, the target this year, what they are going to achieve, this quarter, this week, this year, today, okay, even today, it is a top-notch company. It is a top-notch organization. Not many organizations around the world can do that today, even, okay? So next, let's look at habit number 9. So we all talk about KPI. We all talk about the many objectives. But again, similarly to habit number 8, if all our members, all our employees, they are able to answer all questions quantitatively with the SMART model, be specific, measurable, achievable, timely, and relevant. Okay, SMART model. So whatever answer they're trying to answer their peers, their superior, or their customers, everything is within SMART model. So for example, how do you think that we are doing today? For example, me as a superior, I'm asking my subordinates, okay, how are you doing today? Then if you are receiving this kind of answer, yes, boss, I'm doing great. Don't you think it's a little bit too generic? What do you mean by great? Can you define it? Okay. If you receive instead, we have a breakthrough. Our production output has been improving, and we are receiving a breakthrough of 20% increase of our production output. So that has never happened before, but we just figured it out and we just achieved it today. If you are the superior of the company, don't you think you gotta give a pay rise or bonus to this guy, right? So whatever answer we try to answer to give to our peers, our superior, anybody, try to give a quantitative answer instead of just generic. I'm fine today. The weather is good. It's a very boring answer, don't you think? Okay. If you think it's boring, give me a boring in a chat box. The last habit that I want to talk to is your plan and performance. So whatever that you plan and you try to measure for your team, for your organization, for your division, the visibility gotta be there. If you know the KPI yet you keep it to yourself, it's like, imagine that you're having a soccer game or football game. Okay, two teams are fighting with each other. Okay, but one side score, yay, score. The other side score, yay. But where are we now? What is the standing of the score? What is the current score right now? Nobody knows. Don't you think it's very peculiar to have a game play without knowing the actual real-time score? If you agree with me, give me an agree in the chat box. Okay, so there will be very peculiar gameplay that you ever played before. You play, you do for your best, yet you don't know the answer. You don't know where you are right now. You don't know whether how far are you with your target, right? So all all the plan and performance got to be visible and available across the organization. Everybody need to know what are the real priorities right now, the number one priority right now, and where they are standing at this moment. Okay, so we are not trying to penalize, those laggards or the weakest link in the organization, but instead we are trying to help everybody. We have identified the possible issue. It could be not because of the employee. It could be the system set by the leadership. The system, the mechanism is not very optimum, that cause everybody to have a confusion that they cannot hit their KPI, or perhaps the resources is not sufficient, the resources is not available. It could be that reason. But without having the data in place and visible in front of you and transparent across organization wide, we are unable to do a quick postmortem and find the right solution and move on. Correct? So this is a final habit. If you agree with all these 10 habits, okay, the success formula is simple. You just need to define your vision, have a set of goals, plus your habits. Your habits is your set of routines that help you to execute and implement progressively towards your goals and achieve your vision. This is a simple formula of success. So usually this kind of coaching session or workshop I deliver in 1 or 2 days, but I try to give you the essence. What are these 10 habits can help you and your organization, or perhaps the community that you're in, to achieve better? If you can have at least 2 improvement, 3 improvement, you can implement 5 of the habits. That's fantastic. You don't need to implement 10 at this point of time. Even if you tell me, Dylan, I just managed to implement 1, for this first quarter or this first half of the year. Fantastic. What we are looking for is not perfect. What we are looking for is progress. Okay, progress by an inch, and we will be there eventually. So that's all for my sharing. So thank you once again, Chester and Nicholas, for having me here. So back to you, guys.
Please give a round of applause to Mr. Dylan Xiao for his very wonderful and fruitful discussion. Thank you so much, Dylan.
You're
Nicholas,
welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome. I love the insight, Dylan, right? Because I think a lot of people may miss the other side of the coin, right? And what you've done there is you've shown people, or you're giving people an insight into not just what they see, but how the people inside a company see the company, as the company is its own beast, right? It has its own sort of culture and movement. And it's really important, as you said at the beginning, for the leadership within an organization to be able to gel and be able to communicate openly and have that same vision, which is what we really strive for here, right? As you all know, we have many conversations to get on that same path. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy to do some of these things. Yeah. No, it is not. It does take time and it does take effort. And the most important thing, I think, for everybody is that it takes an ear, right? Yep. There's the old adage, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen twice as much as you speak, right? Doesn't always work for me, by the way. But these are the sort of insights that we want everybody to know, right? Because funnily enough, we are customers of the system ourselves, right? Even the leadership is a customer of their own system, and they have to be. They really have to be, to understand everything about it. And that was really good, Dylan, giving people that insight, because I'm not sure that everybody understands that. And I think if they get that as one of the biggest takeaways, maybe they'll give us a break when we get things wrong, because we're human, right? We're bound to get things wrong from time to time, but we'll always do our best. That's our mission, to do our best to make sure that we can help people resolve the issues as quickly as we can. So thanks, Dylan. Really appreciated your insight today. Chester?
Yeah, and we have a lot of our members. Yeah, Dylan.
Just to give a little bit of context, so usually if some organization want to implement all these 10 habits successfully into their organization, it usually take, guess how long? Can you guys guess how long in the chat box? I take a look to what is the expectation. Now I'll give you my real practical answer.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Let's just wait because it takes a few seconds, as you know, with the delay for
Chester?
everybody to start,
Yeah, Chester,
start
go.
typing in.
Chester, you can
Okay, let's
comment
wait
first.
for the
Now I'll come back to that. Okay.
let's wait for comments. Go on, guys.
Oh, look at this. We're starting to get
Oh.
some in. So, wow,
Yeah.
3 years, 3
Well,
years,
3
1
years,
year,
1 year, 1 year, years. Dragon
years.
said, yeah.
Yep.
wait, it's
Yeah, that's really
Show me
interesting.
more.
So,
Okay, 1 year. All right. So
another year. Yep.
should I tell them the answer now?
Yeah. Tell us the answer.
Yeah,
Don't keep
3
us
years,
waiting, Dylan. Don't keep us
1 year.
waiting.
Okay. Karen is very close. It usually for any organization to successfully implement all the 10 habits, it takes at least 2.5 years to 3 years. 2.5 years to 3 years. And a lot of people, they are also unable to implement all within 3 years. It took them up to 4 to 5 years. It's not easy. When you want to change a new habit, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it takes months, at least 3 to 6 months to get used to it before you have another behavioral change. So imagine that you have 10 sets of behavioral here that you want to change. It's not going to happen within 1-2 years like that. It takes time. Depends how committed are your employees, how committed are your members in an organization. If everybody are so committed to take action, but like what Nicholas always say, #take action. If everybody does that, then it will happen very fast. But if somebody's still on the fence, they still, why should I want to do that? It's not my core value. This is something that I don't believe in. Then you have a transition. People that leave the company, new blood join the company. So a lot of transition going on, and it takes time to align everybody on the same page.
Yeah, because every different individual, I mean, we're all individuals, right? And we all have a different way of looking at things and seeing things. And I heard an old adage a long time ago, and it's not so much what you say that matters, it's what other people hear, right?
Yeah.
And so getting that message out is important, and you're right, but it's what they hear, because what they hear then aligns with their own thought processes, and trying to break those thought processes or break those habits down, as Dylan was saying, and get everybody on the same page. No wonder it takes so long, right? Because we're breaking down individuals to create that team consensus, and it does take time. So give yourself a break too when you're trying to learn something new, everyone, right? Because you're doing it to yourself. You've got to break down those old habits. You've got to break down those stigmas and those thought processes that you already have to learn something new, to do something better, to become bigger and better yourself. You have to make some changes. And as Dylan is saying, it's not always easy, right? It does take time. But look, this is what our community, and it can be painful, but this is what our community's for, right, Dylan? This is what we're here to do, is to support all of our members through that change, because we understand it just as much, if not better, than maybe you do at the moment, because we're those couple of steps ahead of you in the process, right? So we can pass our knowledge on to you, and that's what we're here for. That's what we do.
And to go one step further from what Nicholas has mentioned, right? No, it's even not about what they are hearing; it's what they understand. Because your common sense is not my common sense. Okay, so we have to always find a way to over communicate. Okay, over communicate to find our common grounds together. Then this is your common sense together. Because again, if without communicating with each other, your common sense is not my common sense. Okay.
Yeah, which is why we do in the community, right? When we do trainings, and you'll see someone will do a video, and someone else will take that information and turn it into a blog post, and somebody else will take that information and translate it into a different language, right? It's the same information, but it's the way it's delivered, and different people will garnish that information in different ways, which again is why we keep saying to you, you know, and we keep going over and over the same thing sometimes. And I know some of you at times may think, damn, I know this already. Talk to me about something new, right? Well, just remember this. Not everybody in your team is like you, and you have people in your teams, and we know you're all going to develop huge teams, right? Because that's why you're here. But you need to understand they need support. And so sometimes you've got to go over and over it again. And I'll give you a good example. Dylan's a bit of a reader. I know that. I'm in the middle of reading this. It's called Expanded Leadership, right? And in here, they talk exactly about that. They talk about the fact that, especially online, right, what you'll find is that you probably need to repeat the same information up to 10 times, and then you need to explain it in up to 10 different ways before it sinks in for the average person. So there you go. You know, none of us are perfect. What was that, Ming Ru? It says, well, what I listen and learn, I need to willingly put into my mind. Then and only then it starts to change my mind to put it into action. And that's Ming Ru's perfectly right there, isn't she, Dylan? She's right on the mark.
Yeah. If you don't open your ears and listen, there's no way that information can go into your mind. And definitely there won't be any action taken.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's again, I think that's the other important part, right? Is the action taking. It's like I don't know about all of you, but you know, I remember some things from my school years, but probably about this much of it, right? Because I'm not using it every day. It's the stuff that you do and use every day that you'll get better at. So I know Chester's trying to get in here between you and I, Dylan.
Sorry,
because I was just trying to say that sometimes we already know the secret, we already know the answer to our questions, but the question is, are we willing to do it? You know that you are going to. Sometimes I know that I need to wake up 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. That's I know it already, but then am I willing to wake up early? Am I willing to set my alarm into 6 o'clock so that I can wake up early? That's the reality. It's not just the we listen and learn. It's how we implement what we've learned.
Yeah, the take action
Uh,
part. You're right on the
yeah,
money,
correct.
Chester.
And
Take action.
I think this complements what Chas and Chago is saying. Proper mindset, focus, and discipline, and of course, always take action. Yeah, it's correct.
Perfect.
She's definitely correct.
Because out there you always hear people complaining about, I have tons of ideas. What my weakest point is my executions, right? My execution is not there.
Yeah.
People say it for themselves, and so people complaining about other people's execution. One is it so difficult to have things being executed or implemented. We don't have to think execution as a big word, but it all comes down from the tiny habits tiny routines that we're trying to develop, then bring us forward. So if you keep showing up, like what Chester has mentioned, keep showing up 7 a.m. in the morning. Doesn't matter, it's rainy day, you are sick or what. Just be there. Just show up. Okay. Even though it might not start with a good day that you're feeling horribly wrong, but just be there. Keep showing up. Eventually, you'll get used to it. Then it becomes part of you. That is the important part. The habits is to make sure the new routine is part of you. Then only your execution and everything else will follow through.
Yeah, exactly. Look, there's so many adages out there and concepts, right? And that can help you get this in. This is why we go over it again and again, and we try and explain it a different way. And look, this is another old adage. I've never checked these numbers, so don't ever quote me on them, right? But I'm about to give you some numbers. And one of those numbers was that I was told that For a child between 0 and 18 years of old, right? For the first year of their life, if you put $1 a day into a bank account, right? $1 a day. Now, 365 days in a year, it's only $365. I'm sure that math's right, right? But then they said year 2, you put $2 a day in their bank account, and year 3, $3 a day, and so on and so on until they're 18. They said the multiplication factor, the little bit on top of the little bit, day by day by day. It says by the time that child is 18, they'll be worth well over $1 million, right? Because it's the compounding interest, as Dylan's talking about. It's the compounding, right? It's the adding the little bit to the little bit to the little bit to the little bit. So set yourself a game plan. It could be huge. You might be saying, I want to build an entire website and funnels, and, I want to get my email marketing and my Facebook page. Write it all down. Write everything down you want to do, and then start at step 1. And then break that down. Maybe you see website as one line, but how many pages are going to be in your website? Break that down. Break it down. Break it down. Break it down until you can't break it down anymore. And then start at that very first step, right, Dylan? And then do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And before you know it, ladies and gentlemen, as Dylan's talking about, you'll be there. The compounding effect will kick over, and you will be there, right? Because you're doing it every day.
Break it down as simple as possible, as small pieces as possible. For example, like turning on my PC, just like that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm more like Chester. It's like, get up in the morning. The bear's awake. Like it can get a bit hard at times. Huh? Yeah.
As Karen Allen says, practice makes perfect, which is very correct. When you already practice joining live streams like this, watching encouraging speakers, or our mini courses, joining our mini courses whenever we have meetings, you always practice those things, so that uh, it will not be very hard for you anymore to come every time we have a meeting. We have meetings.
Yeah, and it rubs off on you, right? You get that a little bit more and a little bit more. But don't forget, right? Information. They call it the information age. Has anybody stopped to think about why they call it the information age? They don't say it's the information age. They call it the information age. And the reason they do is... I got you listening, right? Had to stop for a minute. You thought I'd all frozen, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's the reason they call it the information age, is because we can give out so much information. It's an overload of information. But it doesn't matter how much information you receive, ladies and gentlemen. It's what you understand and what you take action on, right? You got to take action on it. Doesn't matter how much information you have. It's like money in a bank. Doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you don't spend it, it just keeps growing. And who doesn't like to spend money? Which is why most people are broke, right? Little bit by little bit. Little bit by little bit. Yeah. All right. Any parting words of wisdom from you, Master Dylan, as we call you now, Mr. Dylan?
Don't call me Master. I'm so embarrassed. Okay. Parting words. Something that my mentor taught me. Change is always hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, but it's always glorious in the end. That is my parting word. So start doing it. If you don't do it, you won't get there. Hashtag take action. Thank you, Nicholas.
Take action. That's the one. All right. That's brilliant. And again, everyone, we want to, as we said earlier on, we wanted to welcome Dylan into the core leadership team, as we like to call ourselves. So again, Dylan, welcome again. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being such an inspiration yourself. And again, leading a great team in the Mandarin language. So, Mandarin Chinese, for those who are listening, if you speak that language, even though you're listening to us in English, if you speak that language, reach out to Dylan. He has a great bunch of people that can help you, whether it be in English or in your own native tongue. He'll be more than happy to assist you. Parting words, Chester. Got a last word from you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us in our Leaders Unite again for this session again. I would like also to thank Mr. Nicholas and Mr. Dylan for joining us tonight, and we will see you all again on our next Leaders Unite. This is Leaders Unite for GrooveAsia. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you all.